Your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. As the state budget wash-up continues, Labor and the Greens are preparing to reveal just how they would spend Tasmania's money if in power. With Parliament returning tomorrow, it's sure to be a fiery week ahead.
He says he's laying the foundations for Tasmania's future. The Treasurer today spruiking the infrastructure spend in last week's controversial budget.
There are a suite of measures designed to ensure that Tasmanians can get into their own home and a roof over their head quicker. And this is all assisting in terms of supply and assisting us with affordable housing as well.
This week, Labor and the Greens will have their chance to reveal how they would fund the state if in government. But Labor has refused to hand down an alternative costed budget, instead only revealing priorities and policies.
What we'll be doing is talking about the things that Tasmanians want addressed. We're talking about the health crisis. Of course, there's thousands of Tasmanians homeless at the moment, and this is a government who's not taking those issues seriously.
I believe that it's important that Tasmanians understand what you stand for as a political party and, importantly, how you would pay for it. Now, Labor have that opportunity tomorrow. They should bring down an alternative budget.
The Greens have committed to presenting a fully costed plan focusing on health, housing and climate change, arguing the state could absorb historic Commonwealth housing debt, freeing up additional funds.
That would free up Housing Tasmania to spend the money that it does receive from the Commonwealth Government on increasing the supply of social and affordable housing.
Already shaping up to be a fiery week ahead when Parliament returns tomorrow. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
As the week-long celebration of Indigenous Australians begins across the nation, the Hobart community banded together today. The City Council hosting a public forum discussing what reconciliation really means to Tasmanians.
This panel of Tasmanian voices reflecting on the relationship between all Australians.
And it's an opportunity for them to speak on what reconciliation means to them and open the floor up for people to ask questions and not be frightened to ask the question.
The public forum was held today to mark the start of National Reconciliation Week, a nationwide acknowledgement of Indigenous history and culture.
They need to know the stories of our old people, the connection to country, the air, the land, the sea, and it's very important because we are cultural people.
With a prominent Indigenous leader from the Kimberley region in Broome visiting the state to share his insight.
I guess the whole question of reconciliation is about how do we move towards a more just and reconciled country, and if we are seeking to obtain that, then obviously we've got to start with our own personal relationship. We have to start there with our own families and also within our own communities.
The Hobart City Council also receiving public input into the Developing Reconciliation Action Plan.
This is a way for councils or state governments or businesses to say what they're going to do to ensure that we have greater acknowledgement and recognition of Aboriginal culture.
A plan is expected to be delivered by the end of the year. Rebecca Main, 7 Tasmania News.
Disappearing almost 400 metres below the earth into an underground cave may not be everyone's idea of fun, but for a group of 6 cave divers, it was a dream come true. This weekend, below the Mountfield National Park, the elite athletes set a new record for Australia's deepest cave dive.
395 metres below the Earth's surface, a record-breaking cave dive, the deepest in Australian history.
It's been a big 4 days with a lot of effort, a lot of hard caving, a lot of mental stress, and lots of physical exercise as well. But it's pretty satisfying.
This team of 6 elite explorers spent the last 4 days in the caves deep below the Mountfield National Park, a feat building on decades of research.
What we do is we map. We're actually not just randomly exploring. It's quite an intellectual process of exploration and research, and we take a scientific approach.
Starting at Niggly Cave, abseiling down the underground cliff by torchlight, water flowing around them as they made their way over deep ravines.
We're deep in Niggly Cave, which is the deepest cave in Australia. Hopefully within another couple of hours it's going to be even deeper and we're going to set a record.
Then things got even harder. Stephen scuba diving alone through more than 200 metres of narrow tunnels to connect two caves and venture deeper, leaving his team waiting for his return.
We didn't know if we were going to see our friend again. When you see him disappear into the darkness, who knows what can happen.
But this is the moment Stephen found his way to the deepest point, breaking the record.
Actually making the connection after all this time, it was pretty exciting beforehand, it's pretty exciting now. At the time, I must say, it was a bit exciting, but mostly I was just glad that it was done.
As he emerged successful, it was a celebration his team will never forget.
Accomplished! Yeah, we did it!
And even as they recover today, plans are already beginning for their next adventure deep underground. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Two thugs who bashed an elderly Launceston man in a terrifying home invasion remain on the run. The 75-year-old suffered significant injuries to his head and ribs after the two men broke into his Heather Street home on Saturday night. The offenders are both described as being in their 20s. Anyone with CCTV of the area or information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Snow has blanketed parts of the state, with the Weather Bureau recording falls as low as 800 metres. Cars parked outside the Great Lake Hotel turned white from the snowfall, while Cradle Mountain was covered in powder as the temperature reached a top of today of just 3 degrees. Some roads in the Central Highlands were closed due to icy conditions. The tough times keep coming for Launceston's retail sector, with some businesses moving out of the city in search of better fortunes. But at the same time, builders can barely keep up with demand as orders for new downtown apartments skyrocket.
The signs are clear when it comes to Launceston's retail sector. There's no shortage of empty shop fronts, especially in Quadrant Mall, and those sticking it out say it's been a struggle.
We've definitely noticed a bit of a downturn in turnover for the year, so yeah, things have changed.
Minky Bazaar closed its stores in the city last June. A year on, it now has 2 stores in Prospect Vale and Kings Meadows.
We had to make a decision to survive, so we decided to move to areas with more foot traffic, so hence the shopping centres. We've put on 4 extra staff and our buying power has increased.
Online shopping is still being blamed for pinching customers, while the jury is out about scrapping parking meters.
Parking is part of the problem, but not all of the problem. So it could be part of the solution. We just don't know. We don't have enough evidence around that at the moment.
CBD vacancies are in fact at a 5-year low. Council figures show just 10% of stores are empty. And annual retail trade is estimated to be more than $250 million. One area that is booming is construction. This is one of 30 apartments being built in the inner city by just one company, and it's hoped that more homes like these will lead to more people moving downtown.
I think it's more of an older generation that's maybe sick of mowing their lawns of a Sunday afternoon and don't need all the room, the kids have moved out, so maybe that's the sort of market.
Meanwhile, in the northwest, a recent survey found 80% of small businesses are feeling positive, while in Hobart, many are waiting to see what the impact will be from the city move by the University of Tasmania. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
A Launceston news agency is fast becoming the state's luckiest after selling its second winning Division 1 lotto ticket in the space of 3 weeks. The most recent winner pocketing just over $800,000 in the weekend's Tats Lotto. Meadow Muse News and Lotto says each winner drives more interest in the store.
Thanks, mate. Oh, definitely. Everyone wants to win. They all think that's a good omen. You know, we're lucky, so come back again and have another try.
The weekend's winner, who chose to remain anonymous, says she's been playing with the same numbers for years. Well, she's lived through 2 world wars, 25 prime ministers, and many of Tasmania's most memorable moments. But a slice of cake surrounded by family and friends was all Chloe Duncan needed to celebrate her 108th birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Chloe.
Happy birthday to you.
It's hard to imagine how different life was when Chloe Duncan entered the world back in 1911. The same year, Sir Douglas Mawson set off from Hobart on his famous expedition to Antarctica, and when the people of Launceston welcomed their first electric trams to much public fanfare. But it would be the Great Floods of 1929 having perhaps the most profound impact on Chloe's early life.
Oh yes, the floods, yeah, they were terrible.
She went into labour with her first child the day the floods hit, her husband having to row her to hospital in a boat. But that day would welcome the first of her 11 children, including Joy, who was by her side today.
How do you feel about turning 108?
I haven't had time to think.
You've had your hair done and you're all spruced up.
Hard to believe, though, isn't it?
It is hard to believe.
The secret to a long life? Plenty of vegetables.
Oh, fresh, beautiful. I can see them as we're talking.
But on your 108th birthday, cake's an exception. A loving family certainly helps too.
What does my family mean
to you?
Means the world to me. It's all I've got.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Cancer Council Tasmania is gearing up for its Night of Nights, with preparations now underway for the 4th annual Winter Ball in Hobart. West Point Casino is set to come alive with music and glamour, all while raising money for the cause.
We like to think that we can raise between $60,000 and $80,000 each year at the ball, and we've been quite successful in the past. So it is one of our major fundraising events, and we really encourage people to come along and enjoy the evening.
Tickets are now on sale for the August 10 event. They might be a rare sight on the roads, but the RACT hopes more Tasmanians will get behind the wheel of an electric car. The Auto Club today rolled out its newest electric fleet vehicle, which will soon hit the highways for road safety programs.
We're really trying to do our best to spread the word about the benefits of electric vehicles and to increase the adoption.
A new charging site for electric vehicles is also expected to be operating in Campbelltown by the end of the year. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local not-for-profit Tasmanian super fund. The Australian share market has closed flat despite gains for tech stocks and the major mining companies. The ASX 200 index fell 4.1 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 69.36 US cents and 75.94 Japanese yen.
To the TSL and Launceston have a top 3 spot in their sights following last weekend's impressive upset win over Glenorchy, while the Northern Bombers are still refusing to get ahead of themselves despite 2 blowout wins on the trot. Brimming with confidence after getting the job done over the Pies despite the absence of suspended coach Mitch Thorpe.
Just gives us that inner belief that we are good enough when we play our best footy to shape the top 3.
Seymour was instrumental in the underdog win as he continues to prove himself as one of the competition's most dangerous midfielders ahead of this weekend's clash with North Hobart at Windsor Park.
Our destiny is still in our own hands, which is good. It's not like later in the years where sometime we've got to rely on other results. So if we keep winning games, we can finish top 3.
With many unsure how North Launceston would fare in 2019, having lost a string of their most experienced players, the Bombers put those doubts to bed over the weekend, breaking their Blunston Arena hoodoo against the Roos with an 82-point win.
They really want to learn. They really want to improve, and not saying the group last year didn't want to do that, but they had the understanding already.
Aaron Richter-Salter is one of several Bombers who've stood up this season and broken out from the shadows of the club's previous stars.
No player's more important than the other in our team. We've all got to do our part. So yeah, I guess personally, internally, I have tried to take my game to a better level this year, and I think with the help of the other boys, it's getting that way at the moment.
North have the round 10 bye, followed by the mid-season break ahead of their round 11 match with Launceston.
2 good wins, but we really need to be playing that sort of footy against Lauderdale and Glenorchy and Launceston.
And the votes are in for the RACT Insurance Player of the Year in the TSL after round 9, with Taylor Whitford earning the 3 votes in the Bombers' dominant win over Clarence at Blunston Arena. Lauderdale ruckman Hayden Smith's impressive season continuing, named best on in his side's 63-point drubbing of North Hobart. And Launceston midfielder Fletcher Seymour was the standout for the Blues in their upset victory over the Pies at KG5. To the leaderboard, and Seymour now joins Sam Siggins on top with 9 votes, with Brad Cox-Goodyear, Hayden Smith and Taylor Whitford 1 vote back. The stage is set for one of the most exciting games of soccer seen in the state for years, with South Hobart and Devonport ready to battle it out for a spot in the FFA Cup. And South are confident they can get the job done following yesterday's goal fest against Olympia.
South Hobart last tasted Lacca Seljack Cup success in 2015, falling short twice in the past 3 years thanks to 2 narrow losses to old rivals the Strikers.
We have to get back to winning this tournament again and pushing Devonport a little bit harder.
And the side has never been in a better position to do that after putting on one of the most complete performances in the club's history during yesterday's 5-2 win over Olympia.
That intensity that we started with was so crucial, our high pressing game and really being ruthless in front of goal.
Hamlet was back to his devastating best following a horror run of injury setbacks in recent years, putting 4 through the back of the net, and he'll be out to emulate that form against Devonport's defence come the June 10 final, with the winner set to earn a spot amongst the country's best A-League and NPL sides in the FFA Cup round of 32.
In the cup final, that's what it's all about. So, and getting them back onto the big stage where South Hobart belongs and really stamping our name back up there.
There's nothing more important in Australian football now than the FFA Cup. That's the way forward.
To cricket, and the big name signings have continued at the Tasmanian Tigers women's camp, with former New Zealand international and Sydney Sixers player Sarah McGlashan today announced as the new female pathway head coach.
At the end of the day, we just want girls to be exposed to cricket and their experience to be really positive. So if I can play a part in that, then that'd be great.
McGlashan played more than 130 one-day internationals for the White Ferns, and under her new role will be tasked with identifying and developing Tasmania's next crop of female cricketing talent.
For me, it's the most important thing. We want to start producing our own players and allowing the girls to believe that they can become state cricketers.
McGlashan officially began in the role today, signing on for the next 2 years. And how's this from Australia's Test cricket captain Tim Payne in front of hometown fans at the Southern Huskies basketball game last night? Best known for his ability on the pitch, Payne stepped up and casually nailed this shot from the halfway line. His long-range bucket sent the crowd and the Huskies mascot into a frenzy. Not a bad effort at all, Joe. That's it for sport.
Very impressive. Very impressive indeed.
Welcome back. 12 degrees today in Hobart. 13 was the state's top in Launceston, Burnie and Devonport after a pretty chilly start. 13 also on King Island for Lowhead and St Helens. 12 degrees for Flinders Island, Campania and also Smithton. Scottsdale, Fingal, Ouse and Strawn all 11 degrees with 10 the top for Sheffield. On the charts, extensive low cloud over the west and the south of the state, patchy conditions elsewhere. Further out shows a pair of cold front bands near Tasmania and the southeast of Australia, an upper level trough producing a mid to upper level cloud band over central parts of WA, but otherwise mostly cloud free. Tomorrow a strong cold front crosses the state, a series of troughs lie off Tasmania, a near stationary high over the southwest of the country produces mostly settled conditions. Westerly winds tomorrow 20 to 30 knots, reaching 35 for most areas, lighter through the upper east, lighter conditions through the south and the east later on, and seas mostly to 3 metres, rising up to about 4 for the north, the west and the south. Plenty of warnings still, a gale warning for most Tasmanian coastal waters, a strong wind warning for the upper eastern coast, including the Channel Islands, Storm Bay and Norfolk Bay, and a small craft wind alert for the southwest and the Central Lakes. Also a warning to sheep graziers in the upper Derwent Valley, the southeast and King Island, and also a bushwalkers alert for western and central parts. Showers through the south tomorrow, 11 in Hobart and Adventure Bay, 6 with possible snow for Tarraleah, 12 and showers in Launceston, Devonport and Bridport, 12 degrees in Burnie and Marrawar, Strawn at 10 degrees, with 14 in St Helens and Swansea, 15 for Whitemark, a few showers there. Showers expected about the north, the west and the far south on Wednesday, hitting the east a bit later on. Mostly fine conditions on Thursday, just some showers continuing about the west and the south as well as central parts, with similar conditions expected again on Friday. Looking around Australia tomorrow, 24 degrees and a sunny day in Perth, 17 in Adelaide, 16 in showers for Melbourne, 10 degrees for Canberra with 19 and sunny for Sydney, Brisbane a sunny 22. And it's 9 degrees at the moment in Hobart, Launceston and Devonport. Joe, I'm really excited about the snow. We need to get up there.
Right, you and me, let's do it. Thanks for that, Sam. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. See you a bit later.